What is fasting? And do you as a believer spend time in this formative spiritual discipline of fasting? My name is Ernest Wamboye and you are watching CITAM, Church Online. Fasting is one of those practices that many believers don't engage in or don't even talk about as much. Yet when we look at the scriptures, we see several examples of men and women of God who chose to take a fast in order to get a certain outcome in their lives as they related with God. Now, what is fasting? I'm going to give you a simple definition that I came up with. I'll say this: fasting is abstaining from eating food so that one can amplify their spiritual strength and sensitivity through prayer and faith. I'm going to repeat that. Fasting is abstaining from eating food so that one can amplify their spiritual strength and sensitivity through prayer and faith. Now, when you look at this definition, you realize that it's picked a few things from the scriptures. The first thing we realize about fasting is that it is abstaining from food. It must be physical food. Throughout the scriptures, men and women took time away to refrain from eating certain foods so that they could spend that time in prayer and in faith, waiting for God to intervene in their own lives. Now, there are people who may say, oh, I can fast from social media, I can fast from my favorite TV program, I can fast from eating chocolate and all that. Well, I don't believe that is fasting in and of itself. Well, those denials can actually help you in your fast. They are not really fasting in and of themselves. We can deny ourselves certain pleasures so that we can actually amplify our fast, but denying ourselves those pleasures in and of themselves is not fasting. All right? I'll give you an example. If you read the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5, Paul writes to married couples and he tells them, do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time so that you can give yourselves more completely to prayer. And afterward, you should come back again so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of a lack of self-control. So Paul even tells married people, when you want to spend some intimate time with the Lord through prayer, you can actually take time off and say, we're gonna not have sexual activity for the following period, maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever you agree. It must be a mutual agreement. And during that time, you devote yourself to prayer. So the denial of the pleasure in and of itself is not fasting, but it can amplify our fast. So fasting must be an abstaining from food. Now, what this does is that it weakens our natural body, and in turn, it strengthens our spiritual body. Because what we want out of the fast is to get spiritual strength and to get closer with God. Jesus himself fasted. When he went to the desert and he was tempted by Satan, he stayed away from food, and Satan, knowing that Jesus was fasting, tempted him. He tempted him. He said, if you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. Now, that was a real temptation. But Jesus went ahead and quoted from the book of Deuteronomy that said, man shall not live on bread alone, but from the word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And so you can see that Jesus himself was in a spiritual state of strengthening himself, and the enemy tried to come and tempt him to reverse that process. But yet Jesus was strong. Fasting can strengthen us. And I'm going to urge you as a believer, even as we continue the next video next week, still on fasting, to take time and ask yourself, can you deny yourself a meal or two in order to strengthen yourself spiritually, in order to get a certain breakthrough, in order to get a certain outcome in your life, so that you can benefit in your walk with God? I pray this video has blessed you. And if you have been blessed by it, I ask you to comment in the section below. Let us know your feedback. Like, share it with your friends. If it has helped you, perhaps it could also help them. My name is Ernest Wamboye, and you are watching CITAM, Church Online.